So recently I reinstalled the RE4 remake because I never play separate ways, so I wanted to try it again and play a little bit of the main game, of course. And I'm like, dude, this is such a good game. But made me think of something, and it's that what exactly it's a remake. I know there's remakes and remasters, right? But specifically with remakes, I think it's weird where the line is. So, a little bit of background. I'm someone who has a lot of nostalgia for Resident Evil 4, the original. I played it on the GameCube. That was my game. That along with Killer 7. Maybe it was because I know Resident Evil 2 was in this X64, but I never played it. So M-rated games on the Nintendo feel weird at the moment for me, I guess. So those two games are like really good for me, and particularly Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games ever. It's not a surprise, it's a fucking great game. And that said, like with all that nostalgia, I'm not romantic about it, and I straight up can say that the remake is better in every aspect. Like I didn't even remember that in the original you couldn't move and shoot at the same time, which is ridiculous. Like for all that game did, because I think it became the blueprint for all third-person action games in the future. Like still needed some improvements, and this remake does that. There's things that I don't like particularly. Not that I don't like it, like the crafting system, I don't see a point to it. Like it just add another step. It doesn't change anything in my opinion. But for the most part, all the changes are good. Even like for example the boss that they take out in the main campaign, they put it in the Ada campaign and all that. So that's really cool. You know what they take away, and that's the biggest mistake they made, is this.
Resident Evil 4.
That is the best intro ever. That's the only time I will admit that I'm blinded by nostalgia, and yet my nostalgia is right in this occasion. That's a bad change. But the reason why I've been thinking of what exactly is a remake is because just recently, last year, I got my first gaming PC. I bought it for work, but it has a graphic and all that, so I use it to play games too. And the remake of RE4 was one of the first games that I wanted to play that. Because before, like, I was completely out of the gaming world, except for my 3DS. And the reason why that's important is because I play a lot of games that I didn't play back in the day. Because, don't tell Nintendo, but I hacked my 3DS and I start playing games that I haven't played. And among those were a lot of RPGs, a lot of Shin Megami Tensei, like Devil Survival. It's such a good game. I never played a Persona or a SMT game, and that game made me a fan. But also Raiden Historic Perfect Chronology was another one. But the reason why I mentioned that is because I was never a RPG guy, and the 3DS kind of made me learn how to love them, because I'm a story guy, and I've discovered RPGs tend to have really good stories, and that was kind of made me an RPG guy. The reason why I mention all this is because I was looking at the remake of Final Fantasy VII, and this is where the what really is a remake, or where is the line with the remakes comes, because I know there's in Steam there's three versions or three Final Fantasy VII games. One is like, I think it's just a port of the original, and the other two is like the revert, and the other one, like, I don't remember what's the name, but like the two parts of the remake. And I kind of want to play that because I always heard about Final Fantasy VII, right? Like I say, I was a N64 guy, so I don't have that much nostalgia about them, but I always heard about them. So I was looking at them, and I'm like, okay, I kind of want to play the new ones, but is that really the same game? Like it's an action. I know there's a whole thing with Square Enix and turn-based games right now that they used to think that they are dead, and then Expedition 33 happened, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, they are not dead. But it's interesting, right? Like, is that the same game? Because it feels a little like one. I know the story plays with that is it's supposed to go one way and it goes another, but like also just mechanically it's a completely different game. It's an action RPG and it's weird. Like, sure, I didn't play the original, so I wouldn't fully know. Well, I guess I will never know what really is to play the original unless I play it. That I can, but I want to play the new shiny thing. But that's the thing. Like, can you still say that the remakes of Final Fantasy VII is Final Fantasy VII? Like, where do you draw the line with video games? Because these new remake games of all these classics, for the most part, are pretty good. Like, they are great games. And maybe it's the old guy on me talking at this point, but that's my question. Is still the same game despite like core mechanics changing? I don't know. Coming back to Resident Evil, like the remakes of 2 and 3 are great, right? For what I heard, I haven't played those, but still, they are more like in lines of the new Resident Evil. Like, it's after, Resident Evil after Resident Evil 4. So they are different games. And I know, for example, I'm not that romantic for tank controls. They were confusing and clunky, sure, but this is again back in the day, way back in the day. I remember, before games were taken seriously, like there was this whole discussion about games as art and all that, and one of the discussion was this idea of, oh, the tank controls are part of the experience and are crucial to the experience because they take away part of the control, so they induce this tension to the game. But now we are like, nah, give me good controls. Who cares about tank controls? Like the remake of Silent Hill 2, which is more in vein of a remaster. Haven't played it, but for all I know, also took away tank control. And it's like, are mechanics important or commodity or easy of use is more important? Because at that point, is the story the only thing that matters? Because that's a movie, and it's that. So what's the difference between video games and movies? So that's the weird part for me. Like, it's good to take away mechanics because they are clunky and old or not. I know there's a lot of love for recent, more modern survival horrors that conserve old mechanics, but also I don't want to fall in that. Like, I don't think that just nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia is the best thing. But it's interesting on that element because, for example, like again, the new RE, like I wouldn't think back in the day of Capcom still going strong, and not only that, like make great games on Resident Evil. The new ones are great, but they are also completely different of what Resident Evil was originally. And ultimately, playing the game doesn't really matter if you could consider it the same game. But in the sense of, and I know there's some flashy discussion about this, but in the sense of preservation, is making a different game that have different mechanics just because we are not used to what we used to do anymore. Is that really what preservation of games is? So I don't know. It's interesting to think about it, right? I'm just curious about where is the perspective there. But it's just a thing that I have been thinking around. To be fair, like I say, new Resident Evil is fucking amazing. The remakes are, for what I heard, are great. Resident Evil 4 remake is the perfect game that it should be Resident Evil, and also gave us arguably the two hottest characters in gaming. So the games are great, but it's that idea of where is the line to make a remake and what is good to just took away and what is good to keep. It reminded me on college because I went to filmmaking and just in arts in general, right? Like you just invent shit just to be taken serious. So that idea of, oh, the mechanics are a representation of what the emotion or the anxiety that the game should be induced, it was just bullshit to be taken serious apparently nowadays, because we want good controls instead of clunkiness. So it's interesting. That's it. Resident Evil is amazing, and it's amazing that it's still going strong in the year 2026. I'm really hyped for the new one, Requiem, so maybe I'll talk about that later.